Hey guys, it's Monday. In the last vlog, I showed you that little clip of Molly, and it cut off kind of quickly because it was windy that day, and there was not a darn thing that I said that could be heard in that clip. So I had to cut it off. But what I was telling you guys was about Louise, and I'll show you if I can see her when I come up around the corner here. Louise's udders, you know how they kind of clogged up. Molly, just a little update. Molly was not able to nurse. The rancher was bottle feeding her for a few weeks, and then one of their other cows, whose year-old calf was sold, she was lonely for a calf, and she adopted Molly, and she's been feeding her. And so now Molly has these two moms, number 8 and Louise. Well, what happened with Louise is that her udder, the thing that holds the udder up, it's like tendons or something like that. The tendons, or whatever those things are that hold the udder, those things either stretched or snapped, and her udder now just hangs. When you see the other cows, their udders are really kind of close to the belly. I mean, they're rounded, but they're close to the belly, and Louise's just hangs, like gets in the way of her legs when she's walking. I'm not going to be able to show you this today because they're right over there, and I'm not going to walk down there. It's kind of looking into my neighbor's backyard. But anyway, it is probably very painful for her. And so the plan is that look at this, there's a llama. Anyway, the plan is that they're obviously going to keep Louise and Molly together until it would be time for Molly to be weaned, technically from number 8. And then I'm guessing that they will take Louise to the processor, unfortunately. And she's probably 10 years old, so I understand that her meat could only be used for hamburger, which makes me sad, but you know, it's the reality of a world where we eat meat, and it's a reality of life around animals too. But anyway, that's kind of the sad deal. But the thing, I guess, that makes me feel better about it is that it's not just like, oh, Louise can't have babies anymore, so let's turn her into hamburger. But she actually is probably in pain, and so, you know, it would be a much more humane thing to do to end her life of pain. And but she definitely has a job to do with Molly in raising her. Oh, they're all under this one tiny little tree. Here, let me show you. Isn't that funny? They're all gathered under this one tree. It has just this tiny bit of shade. So that's the deal with them. And then behind our house now we have these 4 other cows. They have stopped mooing all the time. But it's kind of strange because we don't know them, and they don't get very excited over us feeding them carrots. John mowed the yard yesterday, and or the day before, and he tossed the grass over the fence, and normally Louise and Annabelle and the other 2 that were there would just come dancing. I mean, they would be so excited, just prancing over to get the grass, and these guys are kind of like, all right, thanks. So anyway, I suppose it's better to not develop a relationship with 4 cows that are going to end up on a dinner plate at some point. But, you know, it's the reality of farm life, you know. So I'm cooking something for lunch today out of this cookbook, Vegan Mexico, which I'm really liking so far. I've actually been putting this recipe off because I've been kind of afraid that I'm going to goof up on it. And so rather than just putting it off and letting the ingredients in my just sit in the refrigerator and go bad, I figured, well, how about if I just make it for myself for lunch? If it's terrible, then I won't fix this for dinner. Anyway, that's not the right one. Okay, the recipe is mushroom and tomatillo salsa chalupas. And so that is the chalupa. And basically you take this and you sort of make a little circle, and then you pull the edges up a little bit and cook it on both sides on a griddle, and then you load it up with stuff, and this has mushrooms and avocados. So we'll see how that turns out. Here's my masa, and it smells super good. Hey guys, it is Tuesday afternoon, about 1:30. I'm driving over at Cottonwood right now. I spent the morning working on freelance project. I'm just working every single day on that because I got a 2-week delay, actually longer than that, probably 3. They were delayed 2 weeks getting something to me, and then because of that delay I had something else that came up, and then I was a week delayed starting. And so this actually is due on the 31st. When is that? Next Thursday or something like that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it the day before that. They offered me the opportunity to set a later due date, but I never like to do that, and I'll tell you 2 reasons why. One is I want to come across to them as being able to do anything under any circumstances, because then that makes me indispensable to them, and they will always want me to author for them. And so I know that they contact me when in a pinch. If an author bails out on a project or gets halfway through and says I can't finish this or whatever, they call me and ask me to do it because they know that I write fast and that I'll do it. And so yeah. The other reason why I didn't want a later due date is that I have, I think, 2 or 3 maybe more projects lined up, and if I drag this one out, that means I can't get started on the next one when I'm supposed to. So if I actually finish this as planned on Wednesday of next week, then I'll have Thursday and Friday off, and probably Monday and maybe Tuesday, depending on when they get me the stuff I need to start the next project. But yeah, anyway, I'm driving over to Cottonwood right now because we ordered some things for the car, for the new car. Well, the new to us car. When we bought it, it was missing a floor mat on the driver's side, and they're kind of specialized floor mats. They have this little hook that the mat hooks into so it doesn't bunch up and everything, and I didn't really care about that. I was just like, let's just go to Walmart and get a set of mats, and John was like, no, we need the actual Hyundai mats for the car. So all right, fine. So he ordered those, and so those are over at the Hyundai dealer, and I'm going to pick those up. And then the other thing was, and this is something that's pretty important, when we bought this car, it only had one fob and no other key. So yeah, I mean, you know, how many times do you misplace your keys, especially, and the fob, we've got it, it's not on a bigger key ring, and so like when you have a group of keys and stuff, and you know where those things are, but it's not, because John and I have been having to trade off with it depending on who uses the car. And you know what, it doesn't even really feel like my car, because he uses it all the time because it gets such good gas mileage, and he's the one that's driving everywhere. So yeah, anyway, we need a new fob. Just, you know, sometimes you misplace your key, or a fob breaks, or we had that happen on the Lexus, that one of the fobs broke and we had to get another one. Those are super expensive. It's like $250. So all that to say, I am heading over to the dealership so that I can pick up the floor mats and the fob. I brought my computer because I'm almost finished with my goal for the day on writing, but not completely finished. I have 3 more pages to do, and and I know that I'm probably going to be sitting there for an hour. So I figured, why bring a book or knitting or anything that I would love to do more than writing this project right now. I mean, I love writing, but it would be nice to work on, do something different. I was talking to my dad this morning, and he said, oh, well, he's like, what have you been doing? And I told him, and he said, oh, that sounds exciting. I'm like, well, it's not really that exciting. It's just work. And what is exciting is when the check comes in the mail. Speaking of which, I've been waiting now for several weeks for a check to come. And I've been working on freelance projects. You've heard me talking about this. And I've not gotten paid for one single thing that I have written in 2017 yet. But I should be getting a check any day now for several projects. So that will be really good. Anyway, I think that's about it. Oh, I'll just tell you something kind of sweet. I was talking to my neighbor this morning. She was telling me about how her onions, she got hers started before mine, but she said my onions are already ripe, coming to ripening up, or I don't know, what do you call that? Ready for harvest? I don't know. Anyway, she said, I have all these onions. They're like the size of baseballs, and they're ready to pick. And so I was like, yeah, my radishes are going crazy, and hers are too. And so we were just kind of talking about that stuff. Anyway, this afternoon, or later this morning, I look outside, just happened to look outside the window, and we have this patio table, not on our back, but on the side of the house, where we have a side door. And this sitting outside were 2 onions and a little basil plant. And she had told me that her basil was kind of spreading out, and she wondered if I wanted some. It's purple basil, so that'll be nice because I'm not growing that kind. So anyway, she had just left me a couple onions and a basil plant, and so I have such great neighbors. They're wonderful people. Hi guys, it is Wednesday, about 2 o'clock. I don't know where the time has gone. I was writing this morning, and I did filming today. I did several topic videos, so I took a break from those too, and so I did several of those. Didn't have time to edit them though. Now it is 2 o'clock, and I haven't eaten hardly anything all day. I think I had some raisins. So I am fixing myself some lunch, and then I'm going to go to the grocery store, pick some things up. I think I mentioned that we're having friends in town this weekend. They're coming Saturday through Monday. My friend is insisting that she cook for us on Saturday night. We're going to a barbecue on Sunday and bringing them along. So I don't have to cook because they're leaving on Monday, so I don't have to cook dinner. But we'll probably go somewhere for lunch one day, but I am going to think about what I'm going to be fixing them for lunch on another day at home, as well as getting some stuff for breakfast and, snacky stuff like that. So I need to go to the grocery store, and I need to look in my cookbooks first to decide what it is I'm going to make. Other than that, that's kind of it. I got a bee sting today. Yeah, I guess that wasn't it. Yeah, a bee did not sting me. I stepped on it. Yep, it got under my flip-flop. I guess I was bending down to see Mary outside. You know how your heel comes away from your flip-flop? Well, there's lots of clover out there, and the bees love clover, and so the bee must have gotten under my foot, and then I stood up, and I didn't feel it at the time. I just felt like something was in my flip-flop, and when I kind of kicked my shoe around, I realized that it was a bee that I had smashed. And I thought, how weird that it doesn't hurt. And then later it started to sting. But I have very mild reactions to bee stings. I only remember being stung one other time in my life. It was when I was in high school, and it hurt at the time, and then like, I don't know, an hour or so later, you couldn't even see where I was stung. You're gonna have to watch a video I'm putting up here pretty soon. It's going to be over on my other channel, Busy Being Jen, about essential oils and what I did that amazingly took that pain away from the bee sting, like right at the beginning. And so yeah, so that was the only other deal that happened with me today. And yeah, that's it. Hey guys, it's Thursday, Thursday afternoon. Gosh, it's 2:45 now. I have been spending most of the day trying to figure out what's wrong with Mary. Since yesterday, she's been, you know how vocal she is. You guys hear her in all the videos. She's been not vocal. And her meow, all she does is go, meow. That's it. You guys know that's not normal for her. She's eating and drinking. She's using her litter box. She's still wants to go outside, but she's kind of not as rambunctious. So I don't know. The other afternoon, there was like a little bit of barf on the floor, just like clear fluid with maybe a little hair in it. So I think she might be trying to process a hairball. She doesn't yak up hairballs like a lot of cats do. And one other time, it was probably 2 years ago, she kind of went through this thing where she was hacking a lot with nothing coming out. And I started to give her Petramalt, and then next thing you know, it passed, I guess. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I called the vet today and they couldn't get us in today. If she's still like this tomorrow, I'm gonna take her in. Look at all the light. It's coming from that skylight right there. That is an obnoxious feature in a house that's in a hot area. So we'll have to see what we can do about that. Anyway, we have an appointment tomorrow. If she's still acting, she's acting a little better today than she did yesterday, but she's still not herself. So I did just feed her though a small can of wet cat food, and she wolfed almost the whole thing down. I'm hoping that by putting, kind of fluid moisture into her system, that if it is a hairball, that it'll pass. So yeah, so I've just been kind of worried about her. Chad's completely fine. And Mary is outside now. She's been going in and out, but she's just not normal. Yeah, you guys would notice a difference. Hey, you guys, update on Mary. It seems like the Petramalt and other stuff must be working, because Mary actually ran across the yard to greet me today, and she does that if she's, kind of across the yard outside, and I'm always going out and checking on her. And I called to her this afternoon, and see, earlier this morning when I went out into the yard, she just didn't even turn her head to look at me. And then she just did her thing. And anyway, she saw me, and she just went charging, galloping across the yard. And then she's been talking. Usually whenever I pick her up, she would talk. In the last 2 days, she hasn't been. But she started talking. And let's see if she'll talk to you guys. This is I'll tell you what that is in a second. Mary. 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 Mary, you want to say hi? Mary. Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary. Hi, baby. Well, okay. She's not talking. That's a dash mat. If you don't live in a place that is sunny, you may not know what a dash mat is. In Arizona, we have such intense sun. Even up in Flagstaff, even where it was cold, the sun was super intense, and so it's very common for people to get this kind of carpet sort of a thing that you put Velcro, kind of do the sticky Velcro onto your dash, and then you Velcro this thing onto it. So we ordered that specifically for this car, for the new car, and so we had to lay it out because it came rolled up, so it's been laying flat on the floor. But anyway, Mary is, I would say she's not 100%, but she seems, I'm guessing that something was kind of stuck with a hairball, and between having Petramalt for the last 2 days, and then also she's been wanting to eat, so I gave her a whole can, the small can, I gave her a whole can of the cat food, and I think I already told you that, and she ate most of it, and so I think the moisture in her body is helping things to move, and she'll probably end up just getting rid of it in the litter box or out in the yard, wherever she decides to do her business. But I'm so happy because she's acting so much more like herself, and I was really, really worried. In the morning, we'll see how she's acting, and if she's acting puny at all, I'll take her to the vet with that appointment that I have, and if not, if she's acting normal, then we'll cancel that. Well, it's Friday morning, and I think we are back to being our normal self. Are you feeling okay, Mary? Huh? You gonna talk? Give us a... You wanna go outside? Mary? Yeah? You wanna go outside, huh? It's too early to go outside. There might be hawks out there. Oh my gosh, you guys. Mary is throwing a fit. I decided to go ahead and keep the vet appointment. It's a Friday. You know how that goes. Something always goes bad. Or can on the weekend. So I figured better safe than sorry just to have them check her out. She's so mad. She's in her kennel. She's in her little carrier right now, and she is ticked off. But I have to remember that the last time she was in that carrier, her world was flipped upside down. It was when we moved, and so her dogs had just recently died, and then our entire house got packed into boxes, and then we went to a hotel that she hated, and then came to our house and was freaked out. So she probably thinks we're moving again, but I won't make you listen to this anymore. Mary's still upset, but we're back in the car, and it appears that everything is fine. The vet said that it felt like she had a lot of gas bubbles in there, and that she's probably passing a hairball, and that things are just tender and uncomfortable. She said that we should probably, oh stop it, that we should probably consider giving her Petramol more frequently. She doesn't get hairballs frequently. In fact, this 2 years ago is something like this happened, and so hey. So, but it probably would be worth our while to give her something fairly frequently so that the hair that she grooms off of herself kind of makes its way through her system without causing these kinds of problems. She was not upset like this when we were in the vet. She actually was really, really just kind of calm and purring, and she was happy. So she just hates being in the car. Can you imagine if I had to take her on a cross-country trip? That would be awful. So I am heading up to the grocery store right now. Our friends are coming in town tomorrow, and that's Saturday, and they're staying until Monday. And so I just want to pick up some fresh fruit and some things that I'm gonna cook while they're here. She's making dinner tomorrow night, which is kind of fun. I told her she didn't have to, but she insisted. So I had some motivation to do a little bit more organizing, and the office are cleared off. There are a few places on the floor where there's some stuff, but quite frankly, it's John's stuff, and he just needs to get it out of there and put it in the barn, because that's going to be his place, and he needs to just get it out of my place. Anyway, then there's also a few drawers that still need to be organized, and I just kind of, I don't have time. I ran out of time this week. So, but at least it looks presentable enough, as an office can that has a drum set in it. John's drum set. Anyway, while I was going through stuff, I found this one notebook, and I almost tossed it. I am so glad I didn't. It was this small notebook, and I was kind of flipping through, and I saw that I had some notes from some projects for, I don't know if it was for teaching or if it was like some writing that I had done several years ago, or years and years ago, whatever. But so I was like, oh yeah, I could probably just toss this whole book. There weren't a ton of pages left in it. And then I saw that there was a section where there was some writing, like quite a bit of writing. And I flipped it open, and it was my goodbye story for my cat Jake. And I always do that after I lose an animal. I write a story about them, and I do it partly because it's cathartic, and I can just remember and whatever and cry and all of that. And usually by the time I'm finished, I have my not last cry, but I have a good cry, and then I sort of feel ready to move on. And the other thing is, I write it because there's so much about them that I don't ever want to forget, and so I feel like if I put it in words, that when I go back to it, that I'll remember those things. And I just was reminded as I read this story about Jake, and parts of it I was teary and everything, probably teary because of that, but also because of losing Vanessa and Chloe, just a few months ago, kind of brought that back up. But it just made me realize, though, that I'm so glad that I wrote their story. there are still parts of it that I could probably add to, but I was so glad that I wrote their story because there were things about Jake. I had him for 11 years, and there were things about him that I had totally forgotten, absolutely totally forgotten about him. And you know, and it stands to reason. He died a little over 11 years ago. I mean, no, not 11 years ago. He died a little over 17 years ago. He died in November of 1999. And so, so of course I would forget. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. So, but anyway, so it just made me happy to know that, I mean, because somewhere down the line, I'm going to go back and read things about Vanessa and Chloe and realize that, that I had forgotten those things. So I'm just happy to have taken the time to write the story down. It usually takes me a little while before I can write the story. Well, not like months and months and months, but it's not something I usually do and sit down like the next day or anything like that. It usually takes me a little bit before I can bring myself to do it because it's so final. Anyway, I was very happy that I had not just taken that book and tossed it, that I found it, and I actually had made a file when we moved into this house. I was finding things like that, and so I had a story for a cat named Chrissy that I had, and Joe and Steve's story is in a little photo album of them, and Vanessa and Chloe's is on my computer. I really do need to print it out, just, you know, just in case something were to happen to the computer. And then there was a page of notes about my dog Karen, who was a puppy. She died when she was 11 months old of distemper. She came to us with distemper. We didn't know it, and sometimes dogs with distemper die right away, and sometimes they last a little while, like she did, and it kind of goes unnoticed. And so I was so upset because she died 2 months after Jake died. So my animals die in clusters, it seems like. But she died just a couple months after Jake died, and I couldn't handle it. I was just thinking, I was already so sad, and I'm finally starting to get myself to move past, and now my puppy dies, and it was just too hard. And so I wrote a bunch of notes about Karen, but I was never able to bring myself to write her story. And so I really blocked a lot out about her, but at least I wrote some notes about her. And so that was just an interesting thing to come across. You come across all kinds of interesting things when you're moving, and of course we moved 7 months ago, but this is the one room of the house that you know, that has kind of been the catch-all for stuff that's yet to be organized. Dinner tonight is an I don't feel like cooking meal. This is Morningstar Farms buffalo wings. It's actually a soy product, very spicy, and does not taste anything like soy, and tastes amazingly like chicken and has texture like chicken. Don't you agree, John?
Like chicken nuggets.
Yeah, like chicken nuggets, yeah. And then this is like all I did that required any effort on my part. This is a vegan sour cream called Better Than Sour Cream. And I mixed in lime juice, mustard powder, onion powder, salt, and a little bit of pepper. I think that vegan sour cream tastes very dull and flat on its own. But I'm telling you, the two key ingredients are lime juice and mustard powder. That really gives it that kind of tang and zip that regular sour cream has. Oh, I also put in some dried parsley. So anyway, just kind of mix that up, and this will be a nice thing to dip this in.